Welcome to episode, I think, 6 of the Future Gains podcast. In case you're new here, I basically talk about stocks and a lot of stocks that have to do with AI or anything that we think is going to be long term, going to set us up for the future. We try to find those small companies that are going to be gigantic companies later. And today we are talking about one simple question, which is what the flip is going on? Why? What is going on? Why is everybody, all these AI companies are just going down the toilet right now? Whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's Palantir, whether it's SoundHound, oh my goodness, it's killing me. And I don't understand why. And we're going to jump into that today. And the major question we're going to cover today, is it a pullback, which is means, oh great buying opportunity, or is it the bubble pop? Is it the see you later, down goes the toilet, another internet boom type scenario? Just to emphasize what I'm talking about. Okay, we're just going to jump right into it. Just to emphasize what I'm talking about. Let me tell you how much each of these stocks has pulled back. In the past week, Nvidia is down 10%, so they've been down $12. SoundHound is down 36%, and Palantir is down 29%. For what? And most of these reasons, it's because people are starting to get freaked out, and then some of these are just dumb. SoundHound is just dumb. We're going to jump into that. So let's go over what's the broader market sentiment right now when it comes to AI, right? A couple weeks ago in January, I guess a month ago now, we had the whole DeepSeek stuff, right? Where they basically, if you haven't heard about it, DeepSeek came out with their greatest AI model there is, and they said they did it way cheaper than anybody else had done it. And NVIDIA stock went from, I think, 145 all the way down to 116. Biggest drop of any stock in US history, right? That's that's pretty insane, the fact that it's starting to recover. Then we realized, well, they're probably lying. They're in China. They're probably lying. They probably used a lot of NVIDIA chips for this. Probably 50,000 is what everyone's talking about. And all these big companies, Meta, Amazon, they didn't change their minds at all. They said, well, this doesn't really change things for us. We're going to continue to invest heavily, even more money into AI, into NVIDIA. NVIDIA's CEO came out, said, not worry about it. If anything, I think investors got this wrong. I think it's going to help NVIDIA. I think it's going to make where it's more accessible and we can sell even more chips. So it was completely blown over, which seems to be, to me, the theme the past couple weeks. Anything AI news related, it seems bad and it's completely blown over. People are losing their minds. And the overall sentiment going on right now is, can AI actually make money? Like, we've invested so much money in AI, we need to see it make money. And people are starting to freak out because they're starting to think they see the cracks where AI is not going to make money and there's going to be a floodgate and everything's going to go down and everyone's going to lose all their money. So everyone's really nervous right now. They're just walking on glass, which brings us to today. And it's NVIDIA's earnings today, right? February, I think it's 26th today. Come out later tonight. And here are the expectations for NVIDIA's earnings. Just to give you the EPS they're expecting is 0.85. Revenue is 38.17 billion, which, by the way, everybody went crazy last year, this quarter, when the revenue was 26 billion. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to make 100 billion this year. This quarter is expected 38 billion. And that's a huge jump in 1 year. Any other company, people would be ecstatic, not NVIDIA. And their EPS that quarter was 0.61, and they're expecting 0.85 a year later. Nuts. Let's go over year how NVIDIA is doing, okay? NVIDIA, year over year, revenue up 93%. Net income up 108%. Diluted EPS, 108%. This means each share of NVIDIA, its stock, is earning over double what it did last year. Are you hearing me right now? Net profit margin up 8%. Currently, it's 55%, which means half of all the revenue turns into profit. Operating income, 108%. Net change in cash, 247%. Let me give you the AKA. That's a lot of cash. Companies normally with this much cash can invest heavily. They can buy back shares. They can buy out competitors. Not that they really need to at all. So I don't understand why NVIDIA is pulling back right now. I think that their earnings are going to come out. I think they're going to be amazing. I think they're going to beat both revenue and EPS. And then I don't know what's going to happen, because last quarter they were amazing. They beat it by a lot, almost as much as the first time that it shot off. And people, they saw one thing they didn't like and it turned negative. So that could very well happen. You could see they don't see one thing they don't like and it just turns negative, which is the dumbest It's part of the reason the stock market's annoying sometimes because everything looks good, but people decide it's not good and it goes down, right? That's very much a possibility. Or we see NVIDIA is not only doing okay after the DeepSeek thing, they're doing amazing. They're selling their new chip now, Blackwell, and it's doing awesome. And then people are like, ah, and it's a sigh of relief, and it either goes back to where it was, which is 145, or they say, oh my goodness, this is holding true. And it goes up to like 170, 180. That's literally what all the target prices right now from every analyst are in the 160s to 200s. Okay. And then it's at what? 130 today. It's about to open up at 130. When it comes to the other AI stocks, my biggest grief is with SoundHound. SoundHound dropped. I think it was, I can't even remember what it was at. I think it was at like $18, $16, and it dropped all the way down to high eights now, all because NVIDIA announced that they basically changed their investment and pulled out their money from SoundHound. But guess what? It was $8 million. $8 million is it's a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to you. That's not a lot of money for a company like SoundHound. And somehow this is the end of the world. And I guess everything else changed. What else changed with SoundHound? If you were an investor in them and you believed in them like I do, what changed? $8 million? This is the dumbest overreaction I've ever heard of. So unless NVIDIA knows something that we don't, then I don't understand at all. I don't get it. Same thing with Palantir. I think the major drop off they've had. One, they were bound to drop a little bit. They've gone insane. But two, the U.S. government announced that they were going to basically cut back on defense spending. They didn't say what. They didn't say when. They just said part of defense spending over the next 5 years. And for some reason, people thought that's probably Palantir, and they took out a pound. You don't even know it's going to be Palantir, but they were just like, I'm worried, and they dropped out of Palantir. Palantir went all the way down to $90, which I think, honestly, long term, which we think long term on this podcast, a deal, steal. So I'm stealing it. And to emphasize, remember, this is long term growth. And so if we believe in AI like we always have, like we always continue to do, this could be a great buying opportunity. I'm not saying, well, here's a possibility. Here's the risk that could happen, right? If NVIDIA has anything, not just like, oh, there's one thing wrong and it goes down. If it has something the major wrong and it's like, oh man, that's a really big problem. I could see it shooting down, and with it, all the other AI stocks shooting down. So that is a major possibility. So I understand you got $1,000 and you say, hey, I really want to jump in, and I think this might be a pullback, but I'm worried that I'm going to jump in and then it has a huge, major, even more pullback. I get it. So if you're trying to wait for that, totally fine. And if that happens and then you want to jump in, great. But you're, just like with the stock market, you're risking it being amazing and then it going back up and you miss this pullback. That's part of the stock market every day. But when I think long term, you have to remember you can't time the market. You can't time stuff. If you just get into good companies that you think are going to be amazing in the future, that's the best bet, especially when it comes to retirement. Buying and then probably not selling for a really long time is probably going to benefit you pretty well, especially if you pick some really solid companies, which I think are like Palantir and NVIDIA and SoundHound. I think SoundHound has a lot of potential as well. So I don't really get it. I don't know what the flip's going on, but come later today, NVIDIA's earnings will come out. We'll have a lot more clarification. Maybe you'll be saying, man, that guy was an idiot because there were cracks in the wall and NVIDIA did pop the bubble and now they're at $20, which by the way, if they do that, oh my goodness, I will be crying. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to beat both. And then I don't know what the market will do. I think it should go up, but I couldn't tell you what's going to happen because I've been in this situation before and they did amazing and it did not go up. So we'll see how it goes. And by the way, whatever happens right after the, bell and right after earnings doesn't mean that's going to be long term. Sometimes they have huge negative reactions and by the next day it's already gone and they're going back up. So don't freak out if it's 5 p.m. and the stock went down 20%, which that would freak me out a little bit, but wait till honestly, if you can wait till tomorrow morning when the market opens to check, which I probably won't be able to do, but I'm telling you to do as I say, don't do as I do. So I'm going to leave you with that. Final thoughts. I want to give you a question. Are you buying this dip? Or are you saying, whoa, I'm backing off. I'm not touching it until it goes down more? Or are you saying, hey, I'm out. This seems like it's going downhill. I'm not getting near it. I would love to know. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I would greatly appreciate it. I'd love to be able to find more small companies in AI, which not that Palantir and NVIDIA SoundHound are small companies by any means, but That's something we do cover those because you have to cover those, but we're also going to cover smaller companies as well. So the next episode is absolutely going to be going over NVIDIA's earnings, how they beat both, and then how the market reacted to it. So I will see you guys later for that. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time on the Future Gains podcast.
The information provided on Future Gains is for informational educational purposes only. I am not a licensed financial advisor, and this content should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions.